When I first came across the idea of growth versus value stocks, it sounded like a clear choice, almost like picking a side. Growth felt exciting, full of potential. Value sounded calmer, more grounded. Back then, I didn't realize that investing isn't about choosing sides, it's about understanding balance. That realization began to take shape when I started my journey with broker capital trade consulting PTE Limited. In the beginning, I was naturally drawn to growth. Companies that promised innovation, expansion, new technologies, it all felt inspiring. There was something emotional about believing in the future of a business, almost like being part of its story. I remember reading a review capital trade consulting PT Limited where someone described growth investing as investing in possibility. That phrase stayed with me. It perfectly captured that sense of excitement, but also hinted at uncertainty. Through Forex Capital Trade Consulting PT Limited, I began to notice how market conditions influence which style performs better. In times of optimism and lower interest rates, growth stocks often shine. But when uncertainty increases, investors tend to look for stability, something more tangible. That's when I started paying attention to value stocks. Companies with strong fundamentals, steady performance, sometimes even overlooked by the market. At first, they felt less exciting, but over time, I began to appreciate their quiet strength. Using ctcptltd.com, I explored how these two approaches could coexist in a portfolio. It wasn't about replacing one with the other, it was about finding a rhythm between them, a kind of internal balance that reflects both ambition and caution. At some point, I came across a review, ctcptltd.com, that talked about adapting your strategy instead of committing to one fixed identity. That idea resonated deeply with me. It gave me permission to evolve, to shift as the market changes. There were moments when I leaned too heavily in one direction, times when growth felt unstoppable, and I forgot about balance, and other times when caution took over and I hesitated too much. But each experience taught me something valuable. Through forexctcptltd.com, I saw how sentiment plays a huge role. Markets are not just driven by data, they're driven by perception. And understanding that helped me approach both growth and value with more awareness. My opinion, Capital Trade Consulting PT Limited continued to grow alongside my confidence. It wasn't just about accessing the market, it was about having the space to learn, adjust, and discover my own approach without pressure. What I've come to understand is that growth and value aren't opposites, they're complementary. One represents potential, the other stability. And together, they create a more resilient foundation. Now, I don't ask myself which one is better. I ask, what does the current moment call for? Where do I need more balance? And that question guides me far more than any fixed rule. Because in uncertain times, it's not about being right, it's about being adaptable. And finding that balance is, for me, one of the most rewarding parts of the journey.